Of Park Rapids, and we wrote a woodland stewardship plan for this landowner, and he wants to keep his pine plantation healthy and growing fast, so we recommended a pine thinning in here, and we're going to get started on that in a little bit. So a pine plantation is kind of like some garden items, your carrots or your corn. If you plant them pretty thick, you have to thin them every so often so that the ones that are left can continue to grow well. And that's especially important in the pine plantation for a couple of reasons. You want to keep them healthy and not competing too much for the soil, nutrients, and the moisture. If they get too thick, you can stress the trees out, and then if you get a drought, you can get pine bark beetle issues and that kind of thing. Also, so a typical pine plantation gets thinned for the first time at about age 25. These trees are in the 40 to 45 year old range. They've been thinned once before, and we want to thin them again so that the remaining trees have plenty of crown space, and they'll grow at an even rate. And that's also important. From a mill standpoint, they want trees that are growing at a relatively even rate throughout their life. If they spend too much time close together, the growth rings are much shorter, and then if you thin them, they get big, and that can cause some twisting and warping of the wood product. So that's what we're going to do, and we'll show you some footage of the actual harvesting process as we go along. Okay, we're back at the plantation 3 days after our first little video. The logger wanted me to come out and just kind of give him some feedback on how the thinning was going, if he was thinning too much or too little. So that was appreciated. We got out here and looked at it and gave him some tips, and he was pretty close, but we're going to tighten it up a little bit because of that visit. So this plantation was right around 130 basal area, and we wanted to get it down about 85 basal area. Basal area is just a measurement of tree density within the stand. So we were going to cut a third, so at 130 to about 85, and I think we're going to get real close to that. So, you can see in the background we've got the processor. That's the machine that actually cuts the branches off of the tree and cuts the tree into the correct length for wherever mill he's sending it to. Over here you can't see it, but it's a forwarder, and I'll get some video of that next week where you can actually see this stuff in operation. But everything's looking good, and pretty happy about it, and we're going to have a good timber set. Okay, it's about a week later, and we are back on the pine thinning timber harvest we have. You can see in the background we've got some trees with blue paint and pink ribbon. That's how we delineate the cutting unit boundaries or property lines. This happens to be a property line. We had two adjacent landowners getting their pine thinning at the same time, so we marked it out like that so we keep their wood separate. Also in the background you'll maybe see some trees back there that are cut but just laid down. I think I mentioned last week that we had this particular logger used a feller buncher to cut the trees and then lay them down, and he comes by later with a processor to strip it of branches, cut it into the appropriate lengths, and then a forwarder will come along and pick up the logs and haul it to the landing. So this stand has been thinned, but not yet fully processed, and in a minute here we'll show you what it looks like to have those trees stripped of branches and cut into 8-foot lengths. It's pretty cool. So. so we're at the lockbox area. People often ask us where, how do you keep track of the loads? So what we've got is a lockbox system. We've got tickets that the logger fills out. There's an equally numbered ticket, one that goes in the lockbox and one that goes to the mill, and then the mill will send that their report back of how much it weighed or how many cords it was, and that's how we keep track of the loads. So you can maybe hear the logger, or the trucker rather, in the background over here. He's loading up a load, and so the system isn't exactly foolproof, but with the combination of us getting out here and cruising the timber first, so we have a good idea of what's out here, and then this lockbox system, and just coming and checking on the sale now and then, just helps keep everything honest and on the up and up, and so everybody can feel reasonably comfortable that they're getting paid for the wood that came off. So. All right, well, that concludes our video presentation on pine thinning here in Minnesota. If you want to get some advice on your timber, is it mature? Does it need thinning? How much is there? Is it feasible to do a timber harvest? All those kind of questions you can get answered for free in Minnesota. We've got a program called Call Before You Cut. It's run by the Minnesota Forestry Association, and it's a no pressure, no obligation service for landowners who just kind of want to get an idea of what they're up against and what they can do. So you'll get a packet full of information. You get a visit from a forester such as myself, a couple hour visit or however long it takes to just talk things over, answer your questions. And again, I want to stress it's a no obligation, no pressure, no sales pitch program. So it's really a good way to kind of get some ideas about what to do with your woods. So again, that's by the Minnesota Forestry Association. You can either go to their homepage and scroll down to the Call Before You Cut location, or call 218-879-5100, 218-879-5100. And if you want us to come out there and take a look, just ask for Stan at Itasca Woodland Services, and we'd be happy to visit. So, thanks again, and don't be afraid to like us on Facebook.